Hello, Lifebout. I'm hoping that we're going to get 2 more. They checked in, so I'm not sure where they are, but what can we do? What can we do about people checking in and then not? But, you know, that's how things go, isn't it, sometimes? And LB, if he's not careful, is going to get himself an absence strike, which I'm just going to say on the record, on stream, would be quite embarrassing for a league manager. So, yeah. I hope that nothing serious has happened with him, because I have not heard from him all day. So I hope he's okay. But yes, anyways. He's not the only one to have not turned up, by the way. Oh, he's just come online, so maybe he's arriving. I did say 3 minutes though. I'm just waiting for him to send a message. He should be coming. Okay. Oh my god, he's doing the update! LB, we told you like an hour ago! An hour and a half ago! About the update, my man. JB put it in chat as well. Oh. My guy. That's fine. Okay, well... Let's go. Let us go. Femi. Can't wait to finish 15th in a 9-person race, he said. Right. Well, I'm sure Tier 2 will nonetheless put on a good race, even with the low numbers. Maybe we can get a couple others to bolster things up for next week, but we will see. For now, we are here in Zandvoort for the start of a new season of Tier 2. Everyone vying for a championship title, and everyone's hopes will be high at the start of a new season, of course. Let's get everything enabled here, and there we go. So we're just about to start qualifying. Everyone's going to get their setups ready and on the right tyres in the garages. But for now, we did a question and answer session for all the Tier 2 drivers yesterday. I asked them 3 questions. I asked where are you hoping to finish in the standings this season? Who do you see as your main rivals this season? And which tracks are you looking forward to? And got a variety of answers, and we'll go through them all as the stream progresses. Looks like we've got a Red Bull and a Mercedes out on track. That'll be Lawrence and one of Mr. J-Man or Lil Manny Man. Looks like it's going to be Lil Manny Man, I think. Yeah, there he is. So Lil Manny Man onto the track, as well as Lawrence. Lawrence with no racing line. He can't consistently make Friday races, so his limitation for Tier 2 is that he has to drive with no racing line, and the greatest respect to him because he adapted straight away, and I know this is not one of his favoured tracks, but I'm sure he'll still be fine. Your prediction, JB versus Lawrence from Lifebout's prediction there. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But yeah, it is a shame that we've ended up with such low numbers, given how healthy Tier 2 was last season, and everyone seemed very enthusiastic about the new season, and then half of them have not signed up for the new season. So you know, but it happens. That's life. That's sim racing. Sometimes that's how it goes. But Lawrence about to start his lap. His answers to the questions. He said he was aiming for top 3 again in the standings. I'm sure he can aim for the title, Lawrence, as long as he manages to stay on the track and minimise the number of DNFs. I think he can be in with a real shot for the title. He says Tom's tracks will be challenging with no racing line, but not expecting to be too competitive in some races, which is perfectly fair enough. No racing line is a big challenge if you're used to having that dynamic racing line on the track. This is a very tricky corner with no racing line, and Lawrence, yeah, there we go, across the gravel, and understandably, perhaps in reaction to the crash ahead of him, but yeah, regardless. He says Austria for sure is the track he's most looking forward to, and he says this will be fun as well. So we'll see how he does here. Not the opening lap that he would have wanted, but could be worse. Now here is our reigning champion, the Australian Pommy Alex. He has aborted his current lap, so obviously not happy with it. Joining Lawrence and Lil Manny Man in doing so. Is Mr. J-Man on lap? I think he is. A very good qualifier from last season, Mr. J-Man. Much improved from where he was on pace before. Lil Manny Man does set the fastest lap, but I think that was with a crash. Same with Lawrence. Here comes Mr. J-Man. There's a more representative time. 1 minute 12.463. And that is pole position for now. JBS Steve slots in about half a second behind that. I think Mr. J-Man's got a real shot at pole position today. And there's a Red Bull in the wall. I think that is Mr. J-Man. No, it's his teammate, Lil Manny Man, trying to set another lap and failing, unfortunately. Pommy Alex, also, as we saw, aborting his lap. Pole prediction, a 1 minute 11.2 from Lifebout. That would certainly be different to what we've seen so far. As Tier comes through, hopefully he doesn't get blocked here. Oh, across the gravel he goes. It's in a similar fashion to Lawrence did, and nearly into the wall, well held, as Femi Thrustmaster in the Alfa Romeo takes pole, and gets a bit too overexcited with taking pole, it seems, spinning off at turn 1 straight away. He'll be back in the pits, and he'll be very happy with where he is. As Lawrence now beats him, that's a representative lap time from the Mercedes driver into pole position for now, a 12.0. Who's going to be the first to get into the 1 minute 11s, I wonder. Tier is coming around the final corner. Where's he going to be on pace as well? Cross the line, and yeah, it's not a representative lap time from Tier. Jamie is coming through sector 1, Crozer through sector 2. Looks purple. I don't trust the game with purple sector 2s, but we'll see how good a lap it actually is as he comes through the final couple of corners now in the Ferrari. Crozer switching from Red Bull to the Scarlet Red Ferrari this season. We'll see how it works out for him. He's got no ERS left, so he can definitely go faster than this, but he's gone 0.004 of a second behind Lawrence, so clearly there's some underlying pace in that Ferrari. And that pole time is definitely going to come down before the end of this session. Jamie F1 is going to be the next to set a time. Coming through the chicane now, round towards the final sector. Remember, LB isn't in the session either quite yet. As Jamie, very wide there, had to lift off to not get a corner cutting penalty. And in fact, into the pits. It's not a representative lap time at all from Jamie. So everyone's going to go back to the pits and go again, Mr. J-Man included, as Tier spinning out at the final corner. Hopefully he can avoid doing that in the race. I'm not sure if he spun or if he was just going slow, but I sort of assumed that he'd spun, so sorry about that, Tier, if you didn't spin. But everyone into the pits now. And getting ready to go again, including the reigning champion, the Australian Pommy Alex. Did he respond to the Q&A? Doesn't look like it, but no problem. It's a tricky circuit, Zandvoort. A lot of banked corners, of course. That's what it's famous for. Yes, there is a stream tonight, Lawrence. Let me just post this stream in the Discord while everyone's on outlaps. Okay. He just caught the reply, okay. Well, Pommy Alex has started his lap, the reigning champion. Trying to get a time on the board. A 1 minute 31 isn't exactly a representative lap time of Zandvoort in a Formula 1 car, and he is 2.5 tenths up in Sector 1 already. I think his mistake was in Sector 2, so this will be where he needs to get it right. Oh, he's got it wrong again. The Australian spins round, and he's got 9 minutes left to set a lap time. It's not long at all. And he could be in trouble here if he can't get his car out and get a time on the board at least. Sox has joined, so that is one person who should have been here. Let me give him a Haas. So Pommy Alex comes through, obviously no lap time there. Lil Manny Man also not on a representative lap, but JBS Steve is. He is 3 tenths up on his previous best through Sector 1. What about the second sector? Here he comes up to the line, 6 tenths up. Could this be challenging for pole position? Femi Thrustmaster challenges for pole position. He gets into pole. 11.9, the first man into the 1 minute 11s in the Alfa Romeo. He'd be delighted with a pole position on the first race of the season. Here comes JBS Steve. Can he do anything about that? No, not quite. And it's a poor Sector 3, in fact, from the Ferrari driver. Only up to P4. Could easily have gotten himself on the front row with that lap before the final sector. So he won't be completely satisfied with that. But Femi Thrustmaster, what a surprise this is. The Alfa Romeo driver. I hope he won't mind me saying that it's a surprise. I think he will agree with me. The Cameroonian bagged himself 1 or 2 podiums last season, but was never really in contention for a pole position. Not like today. Here he is, 11.9, 2 tenths faster than Lawrence and Crozer. Can either of them respond? Lawrence is just starting his lap now in the Mercedes. Right on board with him as he comes through towards the end of Sector 1. Long twisty section with a lot of corners, but Mr. J-Man now into pole in 11.7. There we go, that's the pace we expected from him. Lawrence is going faster through Sector 1 as well in the Mercedes. That looked better through that right-hander than we saw before, so he could be challenging for pole as well. Mr. J-Man, P1 at the moment. Femi Thrustmaster in second. Lawrence in third. Crozer just 4 thousandths behind him in P4. Jamie hasn't set a lap yet. Lil Manny Man hasn't set a lap yet. Pommy did manage to set a lap on worn tyres, but it's only enough for P6. Lawrence, meanwhile, is, I think that was 2.5, maybe 3 tenths up. I can't quite remember what it was, but he was definitely up on his previous best. Coming through the final corner now. DRS is going to open on the back of that Mercedes up towards the line. What's it going to be? 11.6. Lawrence takes pole position and Mr. J-Man dethroned now. This battle for pole keeps going, keeps changing around between different prospects. Crozer could be next up. He's coming through turn 1 now. Can he improve on his best? No, he's not even on a lap, in fact. He's decided to go around again. It's got 100% battery, so yeah. Sox has joined, but hasn't joined the racetrack somehow. I'm not sure how that works, but regardless, if LB doesn't get in the session, I'm afraid to say it's his own fault, because he was reminded of the patch. And it would be a huge shame. Don't get me wrong. Tier is on a lap as well. He has yet to set a representative lap time. 5.4 seconds down. That's definitely not his true pace. There's a lot of emoji spamming going on in the comments, which which I'm just going to ignore, but I appreciate the support. Reckon Lifebout. Tier 1.5 tenths up through sector 1. What about the second sector? Here he goes through this very tricky section. Brake and turn right all the way through. Commit hard to that corner. This corner, you've just got to go slower than you think you have to go. And on exit, you've got to make sure you don't spin it. Very easy to do there. Coming through there now, 4.1 seconds up. That's much better from Tier. And I think his sector 3, as long as he doesn't bottle it in the last two corners, should see him further up the grid in that Williams. Here he goes now through the final two corners as the British driver up to the line. No spins to be seen for the Williams. Down towards the line, a 12.8. So just 3/10 behind Pommy, but that's a lot more with the grid than he was before, that's for sure. So he won't be too unhappy with that, and especially since he had no ERS at the end, he probably lost about 3/10 or so. So 3/10 behind the reigning champion, not too bad. Too off pace, not gonna lie. Well, Lifebout, that's for you to say. JBS Steve in the Ferrari. I'm not sure if he's on a lap. It looked like he was, but he started weaving, and he's still weaving, so I think he's trying to get some heat into those tyres, going for a second outlap. Crozer might be doing the same in the other Ferrari. Yeah, I think he's coming down to the line now. No, actually, he's got no ERS left. He's got to be coming into the pits. But does he have time to set another lap? Well, we'll have to find out. He's into the pits now. There's 3 minutes left. I think he's just about got time to set another lap. But it will be very tight. He'll only get one go. Pommy Alex also on a lap. No, he's not in the Alpine. He has bailed once again. And he's going to be very disappointed with this qualifying, is the defending champ. P6 at the moment, 9/10 off pole, only been able to set one lap, and it was on old tyres. So I think there's probably more race pace in that Alpine than it seems. Jamie is still in the pits. I don't know if he's going to come out and try and set a lap before the end of this session. In the Aston Martin. Femi Thrustmaster is a car that's just about to come out. There he is in the Alpha. But it seems Jamie is content to stay in his pit box and be at the back of the grid. Lil Manny Man on a lap, the only one really to not set a lap time other than Jamie. I'm not going to count a 19-second deficit to the pack as a lap. So the Red Bull coming through sector 1 towards the end. He's 2/10 down on his previous best, but all he needs to do is set a lap. Mr. J-Man's retired from the session. Can we see what's happened? There he is. There's the stricken Red Bull, and that would have really distracted Pommy Alex, I'm sure. It's really unlucky that he's crashed in that position. Femi Thrustmaster getting out the way of the Australian, but Pommy might have been distracted by the stricken Red Bull of Mr. J-Man, who is not going to be on pole position today. And we know that for sure now. Pommy Alex opens DRS down towards the end of Sector 2. Is he going to be up on his previous best? Yes, but not by a lot. Only about a 10th. I do wonder if that cost him any time, the Red Bull in front of him. The stricken Red Bull. As Pommy Alex now towards the final couple of corners. One of them is flat out, this one all the way to the line, but he's out of ERS, and so he's going to lose time all the way down to the line, but it is a 12.0. It's a huge improvement from Pommy onto the second row, but is Crozer going to beat him? Crozer coming through the final couple corners now as well in the Ferrari, but he's not on a lap, so this will be his final attempt as he comes across the line to start it now. Lawrence is not on a representative lap, but he's going to go again. He's got time, 40 seconds to go. Femi Thrustmaster through through towards the end of Sector 1 as well. We've got to keep an eye on him as well. Tier is on a lap as well, I think. Yeah, he's just ahead on track. He's just gone across the line, so he's got time to set another. But everyone on track now, this is their last chance to set a lap time in this quali. LB, unfortunately, is not going to make it into the session, which is a huge shame. But, you know, there we go. That's the update, unfortunately. claiming him as a victim. Femi Thrustmaster is up by nearly a tenth through Sector 2. What can he do? Can he do anything to dethrone Lawrence from the top spot? Is Pommy Alex on a good lap as well? No, he's not. He's coming into the pits, so he's not going to go again. Femi coming up to the line. DRS open. Can he challenge for pole in the Alfa Romeo? Oh, wow! Just 400ths of a second from pole position. He's on the front row, but Lawrence just about pips him to the post. What about Crozer? No, he can't improve. What about Lawrence as he comes up to the line? He's not improving through Sector 2. What about up to the line? 11.5. He's done it. Pole position for Lawrence, unless Tier can spring an absolute shock as he comes across the line now in the Williams. No, it's a 12.6 for the British driver. But he'll be pleased that he's improved his lap time. But Lawrence takes pole by just over a tenth from Femi Thrustmaster, who will be delighted to be on the front row, but no doubt a little disappointed to miss out on pole after that session in his Alfa Romeo. But wow, what a fantastic qualifying session. It's Lawrence on pole position in the Mercedes. He's just got to keep it consistent, and he's got a great chance at winning this race. Femi Thrustmaster just a tenth behind in the Alfa Romeo, with Mr. J-Man just a tenth behind that in the Red Bull, and he crashed as well. He could have gone faster, I think. So a good battle could arise here between these three, and Pommy Alex could definitely get his nose in, as well as Crozer. These two APP veterans at this point, and Pommy, of course, defending champion. JB in the Ferrari in P6, about 4 tenths down on Crozer, and then Tier a couple tenths back from there. Lil Manny Man unable to set a lap time, same with Jamie F1 in the end, so they'll take up the back 2 spots on the grid. On the small grid we have here, unfortunately, but I'm sure we'll still have a great race. Sorry about the coughing. I'm still recovering from my cold last week. I think. Hopefully this cough won't stick around for too much longer, because I have been coughing for a long time now. I promise it's not COVID. Femi Thrustmaster said, "Oh, almost," in the chat, and he was almost there on pole position. That would have been quite the effort from him. Not quite. Tier, by the way, his question and answers. He's in, I think, P7 today. But he said he's hoping to finish better than last season, so a few more finishes. Yes, I do hope so. His main rival is his car, which makes sense. Hopefully he can overcome that rivalry. He says he likes most of the season calendar, but the Netherlands and Jeddah are probably his worst tracks, which is a shame because they're the first 2 tracks of the season, which set you off with the momentum for the rest of the season. So that is a shame, but hopefully he'll be okay. Sox is on the grid. He's at the back in a Mercedes. I will edit that to Haas afterwards. Jeddah is round 3. Oh, okay. What's round 2 then? Question. Oh, Spa, of course. Yes, okay. Spa round 2. So perhaps he'll have a better time in Spa. Will Tier. Fan favourite of APPF1. But Lawrence on pole position. Mr. J-Man at P3 in the Red Bull. He says his target in the standings this season is top 4, which I think is definitely gettable. He says his main rival is all the drivers of Tier 2. So clearly he's a man who just wants to beat everyone that he can. What tracks is he looking forward to? He says Spa, Brazil and Austria. So he'll be one to watch next week, I think. And at the moment he is P3, just behind Femi Thrustmaster, who's had a wonderful first qualifying session of the season. Only a few hundredths of a second between him and pole position, which would have been quite the achievement from him. The Cameroonian driver. Looking good. Show tyres. Right, everyone on the mediums except for Crozer, who's starting on the soft tyres. So keep a close watch on that leading Ferrari. He will be raring to get as many positions as he can in this first stint before those softs wear off, but they will go off very quickly on this circuit as they all line up in their grid slots. We see Femi, look at that angle, but he's been he's just gone a bit too far, bit too greedy. He's been set back a meter, but here we go. 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Netherlands Grand Prix. Lawrence gets a great start up front. Femi, not too bad either, but there's JBS Steve has got a fantastic start, but Femi's round. There's more cars round. It's a contact at the front at turn 1 between several drivers. Tears involved. There's a huge crash there between Crozer and Femi Thrustmaster. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Crozer is going to be furious that his race has ended so soon. We do have a virtual safety car, so that will quell the carnage for now. I'm not sure quite what happened there to Crozer and Femi. I think Crozer just wasn't quite sure exactly where Femi was, and just door closed a bit quicker than Femi was anticipating. But disastrous start for several drivers here. Femi Thrustmaster, Tier, Pommy Alex, the defending champion as well, got caught up in that, unfortunately for him. I'm not sure who has damage. There's no visible damage on that Alpine, but it's difficult to tell sometimes. Sometimes there is damage that does not get rendered. Lawrence still leads the race after his great start. Mr. J-Man is now sitting in P2. JBS Steve is sitting in P3. Everyone's on the medium tyres. But JB up 3 places, Jamie up 5, but he's spun and into the wall at the final corner. What's he done there in the Aston Martin during a virtual safety car? He has binned it, and he's going into the pit lane, and Tears hit the back of him. There's more carnage. It's all going on here in Tier 2 towards the back. 5 drivers into the pit lane, unsurprisingly. Sox is up to 4th. JB is 3rd, but it's the battle for the lead that's the one to watch at the moment. Jamie F1 is going to be kicking himself with that. He's only got himself to blame. I'm not sure what happened with him and Tier, by the way, as they were going in the pits. But Mr. J-Man right behind Lawrence. A lot of drivers in the pit lane. No safety car, so the grid very spread out now as Lawrence at the front. Leading the race. Mr. J-Man trying to chase him down in that Red Bull. Pommy Alex getting past Tier in the meantime. Not quite sure what happened to Tier. In that Williams, he's on the hard tyres now. Let's have a look at the tyres. Yeah, everyone on the mediums except for Tier, who's gone for the hards. Lawrence sets the fastest lap, unsurprisingly, as Mr. J-Man continues to hunt him down. Femi right behind Lil Manny Man as well. DRS now enabled on this new lap, as the Alfa Romeo tries to chase down the top 5 after a disastrous start for him and Crozer, unfortunately. Pommy Alex right behind Jamie as well. Mr. J-Man just sticking out of range of Lawrence. Now Lawrence opening the gap, as now Lil Manny Man putting the pressure on Femi for P5 after the Alfa Romeo has finally gotten past. So that was quite a quick move from the Alfa, and he's looking to recover from his disastrous start. He's already up into the top 5, and Pommy Alex right behind Jamie F1 as well. Look at this. in the Alpine. Here he goes. Coming through Sector 2 now. We've got another fastest lap from Lawrence, who is proving his worth at the front here. Oh no, and Pommy has spun! Pommy has spun in Sector 2. He is not having a good time with this track at all. He's down to P9. He's spinning all the way round again. Oh no, it's a disaster for the defending champion. And well, I mean, you couldn't ask for a more chaotic start to Tier 2, but wow, that was certainly an interesting first 3 laps. Tier on the hard tyres, chasing down Jamie F1 now as Femi sets the fastest lap. He is not content to rest on his laurels. He wants to get back on the podium here. Tier taking the F1 racing line. I don't think that's the quickest line in game, but certainly still a line you can take. Who's that spun? It's Lawrence! The race leader has spun from a second in front. The Mercedes down to P3. How quickly can he recover? He doesn't get beached on the curb, which is very easy to do, and his teammate nearly spins right behind. Sox, the reserve for today, currently sitting in P4, but Lawrence now going to have to recover in that Mercedes, and Mr. J-Man leads the Dutch Grand Prix in the Red Bull. With JB 5 seconds down, Lawrence a further 8 seconds down after his spin. He's got a lot of work to do, and Femi is now well in contention despite the disastrous start to the race. If he keeps setting fastest laps, if he keeps going the pace he's going, then he could have a really good chance at catching up to those front runners after Lawrence's spin. But it's going to be Mr. J-Man, the man to beat now. Jamie F1 into the pits. I don't know if he's going to come in for a new front wing, perhaps, or... Oh, he is. Yeah, he has got no front wing, and he's retired from the session. So we're down to 8 drivers, but Pommy Alex is promoted another position as a result. So all the gaps very wide, and Lil Manny Man, I really need to stop riding on board with people as they go past that particular corner. That's the second driver now who I've just gone on board with, and they've spun immediately at that corner. So yeah, that's a shame for Lil Manny Man. Lost a lot of time there, and now Tier is in contention for P6, but everyone very spread out at the moment. Everyone's spinning, yeah. Netherlands proving very tough affair for Tier 2. Tier nearly spinning at the final corner there. But on those hard tyres it can be difficult to not get caught out. Let's have a look at some more Q&As then. JBS Steve, so he says he's hoping to get into the top 3 and challenge for the title this season. Well, he's doing a good job of it at the moment, sitting in 2nd place in this race. As he also says his main rival is the majority of Tier 2. And the tracks he's looking forward to are Suzuka, Spielberg, Austria, and Shanghai in China. So those tracks coming up later on this season, as Lawrence now sets the fastest lap, responds to the earlier effort from Femi. Just saying to the whole grid, I'm not gone yet from one spin. Jamie has left the session, unfortunately. He's already retired, of course. Sox into the pit lane already. Has he lost a front wing? No, he's on a 2-stop, it seems. He's gone onto the mediums. And coming out the pits is a very early stop, even for a 2-stop. But I will not question the strategy. I, for one, have finished outside of the top 10 twice in this on this track now in APPF1. So, you know, I'm not one to talk, and all of these drivers are going to do better than that. They're all guaranteed to do better than that. You know, maybe my opinion isn't worth so much. Tier in the Williams on the hards, losing time now to Lil Manny Man, but I think there are more spins to come. I wouldn't be surprised. Femi is about 20 seconds behind the top three. Lawrence catching JB very, very quickly in that Mercedes. That was about 5.5 seconds the last time I looked. Now it's 3.5. So JB going to be watching his mirrors very shortly. Mr. J-Man though leads the race by 7 seconds, and although I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more solo spins in this race from leads of racers. Not to put a curse on Mr. J-Man, of course. It would be great to see him win the race, but you know, he's been not exactly a bastion of consistency in the past, I think it's fair to say. Sox is in the pits again. I think what happened was that he meant to change his wing on the last pit stop, but he didn't set. He left the wing change request at auto, and it didn't change his wing. So now he's put it to yes, and they've changed his wing. And he's back out the pits again, down in P8. And in fact, he's just been lapped by Mr. J-Man. There goes the Red Bull. So Sox, from what was looking to be, well, he was in 4th place quite comfortably, and now all the way at the back. You know, a long way to go in this race. Anything can still happen. One spin, one car into the wall, and we'll have ourselves a safety car. And everyone will be bunched back up, except, of course, for Sox himself. Lawrence now, though, 1.3 seconds behind JB. Look at this. And now 1.0 seconds. He is catching that Ferrari at a rate of knots. And JB already has got a Mercedes with DRS behind him. I think this move is going to be quick. We're going to see an overtake in this race at lap 9. Lawrence coming through now, sector 3. In the final few corners. Both on the same tyre, of course, although Lawrence does have a spin on those tyres, which will have worn them out a bit. But I know he was a rocket in Tier 1. Has he got similarly low wings in Tier 2? It doesn't matter. He's gone down the inside. He's braked late, and he's made the move on JB. Great stuff from the Mercedes. He's got the flashing red light on the back of the Mercedes, so no ERS on your wagon, but it doesn't matter. He had enough pace to get past and enough late braking maneuvers to make it into 2nd place. And JB is just going to have to try and follow for as long as he can, but I think the pace of Lawrence is just going to be too much for the Ferrari. And JB has got to instead look behind him, because Femi is 22 seconds down. But that gap is closing fast, and JB yet to pit. Femi has pitted, so he will have to pit again. He's on the set of mediums, so he will have to do a 2-stop, but I wouldn't put it past Femi with the pace he's shown to close that gap all the way up. It's definitely on the cards, I think. Whereas Lawrence, now his goal is shifted. He needs to try and chase down Mr. J-Man. 8.5 seconds is the gap to the Red Bull. We've got Red Bull, Mercedes and Ferrari in the top 3. Sounds familiar. And then Alfa Romeo in P4, which is not so familiar. But Femi Fussmaster doing a great job there. Despite the horrific start that he had, and as well as the crash with Crozer, which we might see a little bit later in the stewards room again, but we will find out about that. But for the moment, he's just got to concentrate on trying to catch JB, and that's what he's doing. 21.5 seconds is now the gap. It's closed by about a second in the last sort of lap and a half or so, maybe 2 laps. So he is catching quick. And who's that? Is that Lawrence again? No, it's his teammate for today. It's Sox on those hard tyres, having some difficulties there. Mr. J-Man, though, responds to Lawrence overtaking JB by setting the fastest lap on an 11-lap old medium tyres, which is no mean feat at all. He is properly pushing in that Red Bull. He wants this win, and at the moment he's in an extremely good position to get it. Femi Thrustmaster coming across the line. In the meantime, if you are watching and you're not familiar with APP, we would, as you can see, we would love more drivers. Sox has now retired from the session. He's crashed, it looks like, at turn 3, and that is going to be a safety car, and Mr. J-Man's lead has evaporated as a result. Sox out the race, and Mr. J-Man's going to be fuming. 8.5 second lead, and it's all gone now, as the rest of the pack are all going to be able to bunch back up again. No one's been lapped. Pommy Alex into the pits, and in fact everyone is going to be back on board, because even those who pitted early on, they're going to get another shot at this, because they're going to get that pit stop. Mr. J-Man is into the pits now, I assume for a set of the hard tyres. Pommy Alex is just coming out on the same set of hard tyres. Lawrence in as well. JB, I'm sure, will be. Femi Thrustmaster, I think everyone's going to be in the pits here. I would be surprised if that wasn't the case. Femi into the pits. Lil Manny Man surely is going to follow that lead. And he comes and into the pit lane for a set of hards. So basically a race reset here. Tier is in as well, but what tyres is he going to put on? Because he doesn't have another set of hard tyres unless he's chosen a harder tyre strategy. No, he's going to put on a set of mediums, so he is going to have to stop again, unless he wants to do 23 laps on those bad boys, which would be quite the feat. I know Lifebout did 21, I think it was, or 22 in Tier 1, but or was it Elite? One or the other, but I think that is no easy feat for Tier there on the medium tyres. He's going to have to really pull out the tyre saving strats in order to get those to the end. But my controller decided to leave us briefly, but it's back now. It's an old one, it does that occasionally, it just disconnects for no reason, even though it's full on battery. So, yes, I would rather that than being disconnected from the lobby, though. That's quite a different matter. We're about a third of the way through this race. Pommy Alex, the last one to catch up with the safety car train. Ah yes, Tier 1 was wet, of course, so it must have been Elite that Lifebout did that feat. Pommy Alex joins the back of the safety car train, so it should be in this lap, we would have thought. Mr. J-Man leading the way, of course, with Lawrence right behind him. JB is there as well, but he's going to be immediately under pressure from Femi Thrustmaster, I would have thought. I don't think JB is really has got the pace to catch up to the top two, so he's just going to have to try his hardest to keep Femi behind him, to hold on to that podium. As we approach the halfway point of the race, safety car should be in this lap. All 7 cars could be in with a shot of winning if anything goes wrong. And if that start is anything to go by on lap 1, I wouldn't be shocked. Safety car in this lap, so it's up to Mr. J-Man to set the pace in that Red Bull. What's he going to do? When is he going to punch it? It's up to him. As soon as the safety car goes in, he can decide to go and start racing. Lawrence has got to watch him carefully and not get caught out. Safety car coming into the pit lane now. Mr. J-Man not quite going yet. Those tyres are going to be cold. He's not warming them up very well. He has gone in the Red Bull. Lawrence has stayed with him just about, but JB has lost a bit of time. Femi is under pressure from Lil Manny Man in the meantime, as he breaks late to cover off the Red Bull, but Lil Manny Man comes back on the switchback as they come through Sector 1. What a move that is! No, there's contact and Lil Manny Man is spun round. He's not going to be happy with that, I don't think, as Femi keeps P4, but Lil Manny Man will think he deserved a bit more space there. 3.1 seconds now, he's got to catch back up to the rest of the pack, but if they're all fighting, maybe I think it make his life a little bit easier in that regard. JB is keeping up with the top 2 for now. Lawrence just trying to stay with Mr. J-Man until DRS is back enabled. It will be the 3rd lap after the safety car came in. There's contact further back. I think that was Femi and Tier. I think the Tier just hit the back of the Alfa Romeo, and Lil Manny Man nearly getting past his rival, and they're going side wheel to wheel again as Lil Manny Man down the inside, and he will feel perhaps that is justice in that Red Bull. Femi into the wall meanwhile, and he's got no end plate on that Alfa Romeo. He's going to be fuming with that, but Lil Manny Man back into P6. Femi's going to have to come into the pits, or not. No, he's stayed out. He's just going to live with it, I think, as Mr. J-Man has been passed by Lawrence up front. I was too focused on Femi because he was a real challenger to win this race. But now Lawrence up at the front of the race. Mr. J-Man couldn't hold off the Mercedes, and Lawrence back in the lead after spinning from the lead earlier on. We're just about to reach the halfway point of this race, but I think these two are going to be battling for a while longer. If Mr. J-Man can stay within the DRS. Pommy Alex up to P5 thanks to the carnage, but he's just behind Tier at the moment. He's got to try and make a move because Tier is losing pace with these top 3 on those medium tyres. JB is doing really well, to be fair to him, to stay with these top two. He had nowhere near the pace that they had earlier on in the race. But he's doing the absolute best he can to stay with them, and he's doing it well. DRS now enabled, so all these guys will find it easier to stay with the cars in front. Although Tier now is going to find it hard to keep Pommy behind if he falls out of that 1 second range. It looks like he's going to. If he doesn't get a move on, it's just teetering on the edge of that 1 second. And it's going to be right up to the wire as the DRS detection point is sort of midway through Sector 2. I think he's going to struggle though to stay in that range. He's pushing hard, you can tell, trying his best to stay within that range. Here comes the detection point though. Is he going to be inside it? I think he was. He's got DRS. Well done, Tier. He's pushed hard to stay within that DRS, but no, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. I was sure that he had it, but he doesn't. He cuts across the curb to try and give Pommy as much space as possible, but Pommy round the outside, the defending champion, up to P4. 2 seconds between him and the top three. Now, no, he's spun it. He's gone round. He's caught too much of the curb there, and he is round. Down to P6, down to P7. Disaster for him, but it's all his own doing. And he's going to be gutted. He was up to P4 and looking good, but just caught too much of that curb. It's so easy to do, and round he went. JB now hits his turn to fall out of that 1 second range of the top two. He couldn't quite stay with them for long enough, but he is still in a comfortable podium position here, with Tier 3.3 behind on medium tyres that are going to be absolutely shocking by the end of this race. If he doesn't pit again, Lil Mannyman a further 3.5 behind him, as now Lawrence extends a gap on Mr. J-Man. 8 to 9 tenths it went up to there. Mr. J-Man going to have the DRS, but he's going to have to rely on that DRS and to stay with the Mercedes, it seems, as they come through this final sector. Lawrence 8 tenths up on Mr. J-Man. DRS detection point is just about now. He does have the DRS, but he's far too far behind to think about making a move. He's just going to have to hope that he can stay within that range before the next DRS detection point, halfway around Sector 2. So this is the battle to watch. Tier is losing time to JB, but Lil Mannyman is catching up to the Williams, so I've got to keep an eye on those gaps as well. Was that a mistake from Lawrence, or was he just very close to the inside there? Maybe both, but it seems Mr. J-Man didn't gain too much time from it. I do apologise again for the coughing. Not much I can do about it. 6 tenths behind Mr. J-Man now. He is done a lot better on this lap at staying with the Mercedes, although I think Lawrence has got a lot better drive out of that corner, that slow corner in the middle of Sector 2, than Mr. J-Man does, because the Red Bull seems to be losing a lot more time on the exit of that corner compared to other places on the track. But this time the gap's 7 tenths. It's slightly better than it was on the last lap, but still nowhere near enough for Mr. J-Man to be thinking about going for a move. He's just thinking about staying with the Mercedes for now. Who's that spun? I think it's Tier. Oh, there's a big crash. Lil Mannyman's gone into him. I think Tier has spun it and Lil Mannyman couldn't avoid him. That's so unlucky for both of them. There's no front wing on Tier. There's half a front wing on Lil Mannyman. They're both into the pits. What a shame that is for both of them. Tier gets himself a 5-second speeding penalty just for good measure. But that's so unlucky for the both of them. New front wings both ways. Tier onto another set of mediums to the end. But what a disaster that is. So unlucky. But especially for Lil Mannyman, but that is racing sometimes. Mr. J-Man still within a second of Lawrence. Is there going to come a point where he can challenge for the lead? He's not. He's staying within range for DRS, but he's just not close enough to think about making a move at any point, and that's a mistake from the Red Bull that's cost him a couple tenths, and that's going to cost him even more effort at going for that lead position in this race. It's the only battle on track at the moment. Femi is 9.5 seconds behind JBS Steve. He's going to have to put in one hell of an effort to get himself back on the podium after the incidents that have befallen him today. It's, yeah, this is the battle to watch, and luckily for us, it's the battle for the lead. About 15 laps left to go in this race, as Mr. J-Man loses a lot of time on a place that is flat out, which is very odd. I don't know how he's managed that, but he could be out of DRS range here, and that could be game over if he does move out of DRS range. Here's the detection point. I don't think he's got it. We'll look at the rear wing of that Red Bull, but I don't think he's got DRS. And if... no, he doesn't. And if he can't get it back before the main straight, that could be game over, as that's Tyr who spun again at turn 1, unfortunately. He is back down to P7, but Mr. J-Man out of DRS range, and I think that is game over. I don't know how Mr. J-Man lost so much time on the straight there. Perhaps he was out of ERS. They're both flashing on that red light behind. Lawrence sets the fastest lap, so he was really pushing on that lap, but Mr. J-Man inexplicably loses a huge amount of time on the straight. So we'll have to ask him about that if he comes in for an interview afterwards. That's a bit harsh, Rick. Tommy Alex, meanwhile, right on the cusp of that 1 second range with Femi Thrustmaster. The Australian has finally found some pace in this race, and he's catching up to the Alpha, but although remember that Femi, I've just remembered he has front wing damage, so that does explain it. But still, Pommy finally finding some pace and consistency in this race after too many spins, it has to be said, from the defending champ. And he's looking to finish P4 today. Femi, I think, is going to have to settle for P5. Surely he can't defend this with half a front wing, you would think. And no ERS either on that Alfa Romeo. You can see by that flashing red light as he went down the straight. Tommy Alex smells blood. He knows how to get an overtake done. We saw it in Abu Dhabi, the final race of last season, where he miraculously made some amazing overtakes to win the race and the championship with it. As now they come towards turn 1, but there's a huge amount of straight line speed on that Alfa Romeo, but it doesn't matter. Tommy Alex all the way round the outside as Femi just has to back out. I don't know if there was contact, but the Cameroonian now down to P5. And that's half a front wing costing him there a shot, possibly at a podium today. Tommy Alex up to P4, and he just has to get to the end now without having another spin, and he should be able to secure those 16 points. And he's going to have to settle for 15, it seems. But Lawrence out in front with the fastest lap in the Mercedes, with Mr. J-Man well out of DRS range now. Only a solo mistake or a safety car could deny him this race victory now. It's all on the British driver to not bottle this, basically, in that Mercedes. Around turn 1 he comes. So, well, not a lot to say at the moment. As everyone's very spread out. Mr. J-Man, 1.5 seconds. I think the only thing we've got to keep an eye on is whether Lawrence spins it. Because it wouldn't be the first time this race that he has spun it out from the lead. So I will keep the camera on him, but in the meantime, well, did anyone else do a Q&A from last time? We've done JB, we've done Mr. J-Man, Lawrence. Yeah, it's a shame Tito Man couldn't make it today, unfortunately. He had a scheduled power outage at exactly the time the race was about to start, which is really desperately disappointing for him. I'm sure he would have had a good race today, but that's life can get in the way sometimes. And a few reserves as well that couldn't make it in the dying hours of check-in. And same with a couple of drivers as well, unfortunately. So we were hoping for about 14, 15 on the grid today, but then it went down to 12, 13, and now here we are at 10. And now after DNF 7, so but it is Zandvoort. It's a very, very difficult track, this. So you have to sympathise with the DNFs and the collisions. It can happen on this track very easily. Little Manny Man's got himself a penalty as well on those mediums. But 9.5 laps to go in this race. Mr. J-Man still about 1.6, 1.7 behind Lawrence for that race lead. Now 1.8. So they're very similar in pace, these two, but Lawrence just has the edge on consistency in that pace. And that is what has given him the race lead. I do apologise, by the way, for missing the overtake for the lead after the safety car from Lawrence on Mr. J-Man. Pretty much the only bit of action in this race, and I managed to miss it. I was too focused on Femi. But it happens. I will try not to let that happen again. If any other action happens in this race, I will make sure I catch it. Zandvoort is not my track this game. No, it really isn't. Driving or commentary, it's just not. It's not happening. Next, I'll disconnect, just for the final nail in the coffin. Right. Well, no more Q&As to speak of. But I will be inviting some people. That's our podium sitters into the party for a brief interview, talk about the race, and talk about some of the events that happened in the race. Do yours for tier 1. Mr. J-Man. Oh, by the way, Mr. J-Man has just set the fastest lap in that Red Bull, and that gap has come down to 1.3. So he has not given up this fight for the race lead, clearly, and he's putting the pressure on Lawrence now. There's no more greater pressure to put on someone who's not that far ahead of you than to have a big message at the top of the screen saying that you've just set the fastest lap. So that's great stuff from Mr. J-Man, but that's a huge error from him, and that's going to cost him a few tenths, just getting on that curb. But well done to him for not spinning it. That's very, very easy to do if you do make that mistake. Femi Thrustmaster out the pits on soft tyres in his Alfa Romeo, so going for the fastest lap, the extra point. I think he will not be challenged in getting that fastest lap. There's no one else really. Little Manny Man could pit, but I don't think he has the pace to go for fastest lap. And he would end up behind Tier anyway, so the only other one really is Pommy Alex. But I don't think he really has the pace either. But Femi has not changed his wing, which I think again is an issue of him putting it on auto repair and the game not repairing it. I think that's what's happened there. Which is a shame. That's happened to Sox earlier on as well. So Femi's going to have a significant amount of difficulty setting this fastest lap with half a front wing. So what else could go wrong, he's going to be thinking in that cockpit. But he does go on to start this lap. Mr. J-Man still hovering around that 1.5 second range, but it has come down since that error he made. Only a few tenths. It's so very close between these two. They're sort of trading a couple of tenths here and there every single lap. And if Mr. J-Man was still in DRS range, I think we could have a real battle on our hands towards the end here. But 6 laps to go. It's not quite over yet. Let's have a quick look at their ERS levels. Wow, okay. Mr. J-Man on 5%, Lawrence on 11%, so neither of them have anything to speak of in the battery, as it were. So even if Mr. J-Man does manage to catch up, he's going to find it extremely difficult to get past that Mercedes. So I think he's just going to have to hope that Lawrence bins it at some point like he did earlier in the race. But it's still nonetheless a fantastic effort from Mr. J-Man, this is. He's just started manual gears as well this season, so huge credit to him. He's doing fantastically well. But just not quite enough to beat Lawrence, it seems. Femi's starting a new lap, but I think he's going to have a lot of trouble setting the fastest lap. Tier is into the pits. He is going for fastest lap. He's going to get lapped as punishment almost. But yeah, onto the soft tyres he goes. He's going to go for the fastest lap. What are we looking at? Here we go, fastest lap. So Mr. J-Man a 14.1. The best Femi could do is a 14.5 with half a front wing, which, to be fair, that is not a bad effort at all. But Tier will be the latest to have a go, which will release Lil Manny Man if he wants to have a go as well. He can do. He's got a 37-second gap. That's well more than enough time to come out and not lose the place to Tier due to a penalty. It's whether he wants to play it safe and just secure P6. Is he into the pits? No, he stays out. He doesn't want to risk it all for an extra point. But to be fair, he'd be risking 1 point for 1 more point. So, you know, it's could be a point swing of 2 if it goes wrong. Mr. J-Man now completely lost sight of Lawrence 2.3. No 0% ERS in that battery. Lawrence just about saved up a little bit more. But he has been imperative in controlling this race ever since he took the lead after the safety car from Mr. J-Man, and he never looked back. Just about getting the Red Bull out of DRS range of himself, and then pushing on to extend that gap and give himself a good margin. 3.5 laps to go, and he looks like a man who is gunning to win this championship, I have to say. Of course, Muhiti not here today, LB not here today. Both of them are going to be huge contenders for the title, as Tyr goes for a spin and breaks his front wing, trying to get the fastest lap point. Well, he can say that he tried. He had a go at fastest lap. He could have another go if he wants. He could come in for another set and change that wing. I think he might do just that. There's no harm in doing that. But we will see. Mr. J-Man now 4.5 seconds behind Lawrence. What has happened to the Red Bull? Well, there must have been a mistake that happened somewhere, because otherwise that does not make any sense at all. He's lost a huge amount of time, unless I think the timings are just having an issue, unless... Oh, that's why, it's a VSC. I am the most unobservant person alive, apparently. I'm going to blame the fact that I'm still ill. Oh, no! That's what it is! It's raining! It is raining! Pommy Alex for intermediate tyres. JB has spun it. It's raining! It's raining in this race, with 2 laps to go. Tyr is in for inters, and we could have a blockbuster finish to a 7-car race, believe it or not. Femi on the softs. There's going to be no more efforts for fastest lap. That is it. So Mr. J-Man will take the fastest lap. But Lil Manny Man, I wonder if he'll come in for inters. He will indeed. So what about Lawrence and Mr. J-Man? They're gonna have to stick it. I think JB has spun again, and Pommy Alex is on the podium now. JB's got he's still got his front wing, but he's got another 3 laps to do. Surely he's got to come in for inters now. He's lost the position that he had, and he's just going to have to try and secure P4, but even that's going to be a struggle. He's got to do another half a lap. Tyr has retired from the session on the intermediate tyres. He will still be classified, but that's not what he wanted to see at all. Mr. J-Man's got a 5-second penalty for speeding. I don't think that's going to affect him too much, though. Lawrence also back out for inters. Tyr's out of the race. JB limping to the pit lane, hoping to not lose the position to Femi, but he could well do. 34 seconds, and it's going to be more if he spins again. It's going to be even more than that, because that timing is going to catch up as he keeps going. He is into the pits. 2 laps to go in this race. JB in for a set of inters, but is he going to come out ahead of Femi? It's going to be close, I think, but I think he's just about going to keep P4, but he's going to be gutted that he's lost out on the podium today, because it looked like a surefire thing, and Pommy Alex is going to wonder how on earth he is in 3rd place. Because he was looking absolutely down and out, nowhere at all in this race, and here he is in the top 3, with the rain coming out at the end of the race. JB, he's got a 4-second gap to Femi, so he should be fine. But let's have a look at penalties. That is a good point. Mr. J-Man has a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and he is using that ERS because he senses the danger. Pommy Alex is 6.4 behind. If he can catch another 1.4 seconds, he will be in 2nd place, which would be absolutely remarkable, you have to say. JB 4.5 ahead of Femi. I think he's pretty safe. He's got another lap and a half to go, but this man, even with the rain at the end, he might be struggling a bit on this final lap. He's got no line, remember, so he's got to learn this as he goes. But I think he's going to be just fine. Coming through the final few corners now. Lawrence, he has been, well, he was leading the race with absolutely no trouble at all to start with, and then he spun it at the second to last corner, and it looked like all might be lost until the safety car and got him back into the race, back behind Mr. J-Man, and he managed to get past the Red Bull fairly quickly and then extend the gap. and he has been, it's been a masterclass from the Mercedes driver. Lawrence comes across the line to win the Dutch Grand Prix. There he goes for a donut at the end as well. Mr. J-Man comes home. Does he finish P2? It's going to be close. 5.5 seconds is the gap. 5.4. Where's Pommy Alex? Here he comes. 5.3. I think Mr. J-Man's going to hold on. He does by just under 3/10. Pommy so close to a miraculous second place. JBS Steve a further 34 seconds down the road in the Ferrari. Well, a blockbuster end to the race, you've got to say. Even with 6 or 7 cars at the end, we can still put on a good finish here in Tier 2. JB round the final corner. Don't bin it here, JB. He doesn't, and he will secure 16 points for Ferrari today. Femi Thrustmaster across the line. He's going to be disappointed with P5, but happy he at least finished the race after all the incidents he was caught up in. And Lil Manny Man will come home in 6th place after being caught up in an incident with Tier. Nothing he could do about it. Just a spin from Tier, and he ploughed into the side of the Williams. At least that's what I assume happened. And Lil Manny Man across the line to finish in 6th place. Driver of the day, Lil Manny Man. I think I'm going to give Driver of the day to Lawrence, I think. It's between him and Mr. J-Man. But I think Lawrence gets it. Despite the spin, came back and didn't spin again. Kept it together and won the race. So congratulations to him. And he will take home 23 points. Mr. J-Man did set the fastest lap and will take home 21 points in 2nd place in the Red Bull. Just about pipping Pommy Alex with that penalty. Very close at the end there. But Pommy somehow gets himself on the podium after, I'm sure he'll agree, a pretty dismal race for him. But still gets on the podium. Somehow he manages to do it. JB finishes P4. A long way back in the end. Femi, after getting caught out by the rain, Femi P5, he'll be disappointed. Lil Manny Man finishes P6. Tier does get classified just about in P7 there, and Sox, Jamie and Crows are unable to finish the race. I will just going to invite them to the party. So, I wonder if they will join us. Despite the numbers, still a fun race. Yeah, true. Yeah, true. We still managed to make it a decent race in the end. I'm just gonna check party audio settings that they need to get. I'm just going to tell them what setting to use. So there we go. I think Lawrence has joined the party, so I will get to you in 1 second. Make sure your settings are on always allow your voice to be shared. But hopefully Mr. J-Man and Pommy can join as well. But Lawrence, obviously low numbers today, but still a fun race to watch in a lot of parts, and especially near the end. Your heart must have been racing when you saw that rain appear. So just how difficult for you was that race, and how happy are you to have won?
First of all, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can Rick hear you is the question. He's in the chat. So Rick, can you hear Lawrence?
I think I just set it to share.
I will just invite Mr. J-Man again. Rick can hear you, so go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it wasn't straightforward. But unfortunately, my cat was sick halfway through the race, and it distracted me, and I spun. So.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I thought I lost it then. In all honesty, I thought I was going to get banked on the curbing, but thankfully I have enough wheel spin to get me off. But yeah, safety car came out at the right time. Credit to J-Man, he did brilliantly in fairness. I think I caught that he said he was on manual gears or just started the season.
Yes, yeah, he's just started on that.
Well, to be fair, that's a mammoth effort. On manual gears, and Pommy Alex, showed why he's champion, cropping up in third at the end there. Was it third or fourth? Was it? So
yeah, he did manage to finish on the podium somehow, some way.
Yeah, well, that's what champions do, isn't it? So in diversity, they still grind out good results. So yeah, that's definitely a result he will come away and be happy with. I personally won't read too much into that until we have like a more attendance next week. I'm sure Mukiti and others will be up there.
Yeah, absolutely. A few heavy hitters missing today, so hopefully next week that will be sorted. But yeah, I just wanted to ask as well about the spin you had while leading the race. I mean, what was going through your head at that moment? Were you just trying to get yourself back in the zone, or was there a bit of oh no, what have I done here? It's happened again. It's Singapore again in your mind.
Yeah, I spun. Yeah, the car landed in the most awkward position. It was just all about trying to get in reverse. I got into reverse and just trying to wait for a safe point to come across the track because the field was spread out quite nicely. Yeah, and I was reversed a little bit too much and I was almost banked it, but yeah, it was one of those. I muttered a few words under my breath. I won't repeat it on the screen, but yeah, it was.
It's at times like those I wish we could have radio appear on the screen.
Yeah, it'd be quite a few bleeps there. I mean, be challenging my inner Max Verstappen there.
Well, congratulations to you today, Lawrence. A stellar performance, and well done on winning the first race of the season. And good luck for the rest. I hope you can continue it on.
Thank you very much.
Mr. J-Man, I see you in the lobby, or in the party rather. So how did that race go for you? How are you feeling? Well done on a good second place finish, but you must have thought you had a chance at winning that race.
Yeah, of course. Well, it was a great experience first of all. I think this is one of my best races so far in Tier 2. But I think I could have done more in the quali. I wanted to let my teammate through, and then I spun for no reason.
Oh.
Went a bit too heavy on the throttle. So, but after all, yeah, I still P3 after the quali. I had a decent start. I was almost after turn 1 in P1 position, but I thought let's take it easy. Let's just, because it's the beginning of the race, let's just hold back and relax and let Lawrence do all the work, so I could follow him through the DRSs and everything. It went quite well. I've tried to be very patient. Then when Lawrence spun, I thought, yeah, now is my chance to win this race, but it was still very early in the race. I had like, I think 12 seconds from the second, and but after that, yeah, the safety car came. I still had a chance to win the race, but yeah, I must say the pace that Lawrence had was just too fast for me. I've tried to follow him, but after I've missed out the DRS, I thought just take it easy. Let's just race until the finish. Don't push, because I didn't want to lose P2.
Yeah, it was. I could tell towards the end you were backing off a bit after you could see that it was clear that it was going to take a mistake from Lawrence for you to be back in contention. Which it's very, very mature and patient racing, I have to say. And I think that decision to not go for a send at turn 1 on lap 1 was probably a good decision given what happened behind you.
So I will check it later on the stream, because I'm very curious. But in the end, it was also very excited because of the rain. I was nervous again because suddenly I get a 5-second penalty because of I went fast in the pit lane, and Pommy almost had me in the end. So that went quite well for me at the end.
Yeah, it was very close at the end. Pommy was. I mean, we all know how good Pommy is in wet conditions. So he was catching you. He was catching you at a rate of knots there at the end. So well done to you for holding on. Just one last question: are you optimistic now after this race that you could maybe have a pop at challenging for the title this season? I know that you've just started on manual gears, and that seemed to work really well for you this race. I don't think I saw a single spin from you, just maybe 1 or 2 small errors, but no major errors. So
the thing is, I started with manual gears now, but I feel that I'm more concentrated now because I have to shift. And I think it works better for me. So I hope I can challenge for top 3, but for the title, I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything right now. We're still young in the season, so there are plenty of races left.
Absolutely. Well, it's certainly a good start for you, and I think if that is to be the case, that you can keep more concentrated and keep the mistakes out of your driving, I think you can definitely be in contention with the pace that you've shown today. So well done on the podium, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Pommy, I noticed you joined. Well, how on earth are you in the top 3? Give us a rundown. And to you.
It was absolute carnage. The rain came down, people started spinning. Here I am, on the podium once again. The king has returned. No, it was a good race. Honestly, couldn't ask for anything better after the
Oh, check your party settings, by the way. Go into.
Did I just?
Yeah, go into party audio settings and then allow your voice to be shared and set it to always allow.
Where does it say that? That's a shame. I just did that for nothing. Jesus. But yeah, like I was saying, I'm happy. I'm not here on merit. I'm here because other people started spinning and crashing into each other, which is always nice. And after not picking a controller for a month, I'll take it.
Yeah, that is not a bad result at all. But you know, as defending champion, you've got to take what you can get. And sometimes these weekends, or well, Tuesdays, I suppose, where it doesn't quite go all your own way, if you can nab a podium out of that, you can't really ask for much more. So I'm sure there'll
Yeah, I'm like 15 points ahead of Muhiti as well now.
be. Well, yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, full 18-point gap on Muhiti straight off the bat. So, you know, it's it could be
Got to beat your
worse.
teammate before you beat anyone else, mate.
Precisely. So, well, I mean, obviously this race didn't quite go to plan for you. I mean, you've still ended up here, but regardless, do you think you can bounce back in terms of pace and consistency next week, and perhaps get yourself a podium that you feel like you deserved a bit more?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my first, I couldn't put in a lap in qualifying, and my first 10 laps were an absolute shambles. So, I got a week to practice before the next one. I quite like the calendar for the year. So it's only uphill from here.
It is only uphill from here.
But
I'm
saying that,
sure.
I think I've got a good chance.
I would agree. I think all three of you in the top three here have got a shot at going
Yeah,
for the title.
Lawrence, when he's going to be on it this season because he was a bit unlucky last year.
Absolutely, a few.
Muhiti's too busy playing Call of Duty, so I'm not too worried. Too worried about Muhiti.
Well, we'll see. I'm sure there's many twists and turns to come in the upcoming season, and hopefully we can get more drivers in as well over the coming few weeks.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, we were certainly hoping for at least sort of 13, 14 today, but obviously a few people pulling out in the dying hours. But
Yeah, it's weird.
It happens, and you know, we still had an entertaining race. So thank you for that, and well done on the recovery, and a solid, well, maybe less solid, but still a podium to start out the season. Not a bad start at all. So yeah, well done today, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, all the best.
And to you. So that is it for today's Tier 2 race. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to our Tier 2 drivers as well, and hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week for more Tier 2. Goodbye everyone.